I don't know if you would have happened to notice this story, but the city of San Francisco elected a new district attorney. To remind you, a district attorney is a person whose job it is to decide on prosecutions and to carry forth those prosecutions. So the police arrest people, they gather evidence, they hear, Mr. DA, I have evidence, Joe Blow robbed a bank, or Susie Q, did something, stole money. The district attorney's job is to look at those cases, to prioritize them, to decide which ones to prosecute, to assign prosecutors literally in charge of the enforcement mechanism of our law. The people of San Francisco, at least it was by a close margin, but by a close margin, just elected as the new district attorney in San Francisco a man whose first name is Chesa, C-H-E-S-A, Chesa, I don't know how you say it, Chesa Boudin, B-O-U-D-I-N. He's the new district attorney in San Francisco. His parents were both convicted murderers and part of the Weatherman Underground. The communist, the radical group in the 60s and 70s. His parents are convicted murderers, served time for a Weather Underground operation they pulled out. They ended up killing 3 people. There's 2 police officers and a security guard. So they're in prison, or the mom is now out, the dad's still in prison. So because they were not available to raise their infant child, they did this while they had an infant child. He was then raised, you'd like to think, put in a loving home with 2 decent, lovely parents, but that would not be correct. He was instead raised by the Bill Ayers. You remember that name, Bill Ayers, the radical communist? Bill Ayers and his wife, Bernadine Dorn. So this guy, raised by 2 radical anti-American terrorists, those are his parents. He is a socialist, openly, happily, avowedly socialist, basically ran on the platform of protecting illegal aliens, decarcerating, his word is decarcerating, taking people back out of prison, decarcerating people, and the main ones he's interested in incarcerating, putting in jail, are members of ICE, like the people who actually take care and help us to remove people who are illegal aliens in our country who committed crimes. His people he does want to lock up are ICE and the police when they engage in actions he doesn't like, including arresting illegal immigrants. This is a guy who is running on the platform. His job is to prosecute crime. He's running on, the only people I see as criminals pretty much are ICE and the police department. And so at his victory rally, so the Police Officers Association, POA, Police Officers Association in San Francisco actually ran ads, paid money to run ads saying this guy is not going to enforce the law. He doesn't back the police. This is the district attorney. He doesn't back the police. He doesn't back us. And he is not going to allow all of us to enforce the law. He's not going to allow San Francisco to be a law-abiding place. So POA, the Police Officers Association, ran these ads, and then this guy, Boudin, wins. So at his victory rally, the chant among his supporters was the F word I will never say, the F-bomb word, F the POA, only they weren't saying F. F the POA. Like when Trump is speaking, we all hear people chanting USA, USA. His followers, his supporters are chanting F the POA. He also had as one of his significant donors a woman who is closely affiliated, I know you'd be shocked to learn this, closely affiliated with George Soros. So they have, I could tell you story after story after story about this guy. Radical leftist, socialist, praiser of socialist administrations, around the world, praiser of communism, could not be more radical, more leftist, and then erased again by anti-American terrorists, Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn. And his support, in significant part, came from a woman who is a close partner with George Soros. And now I want to go on and tell you why I think all these stories tie up together. George Soros spends billions, billions, in this country funding literally hundreds of organizations with happy sounding names. You know, peace and justice. We love our neighbors. Those aren't real names, but they're all like that. They sound like, well, who would be against that? Yeah, I'm in favor. I love America. Yeah, they say they're the Love America Club. These are all groups. George Soros' mission is the destruction of America. It is nothing less. It is intentional that his organizations perpetually instigate outrage, chaos, distrust. They plant seeds of societal distrust. They work to support groups that will make America, foment in America, sense of outrage, sense of hatred of America. If you wonder where this hatred of America comes from in our young people, and a lot of it has to do with organizations funded by George Soros, and so they weave their way down from the evil Soros up here to a next tier of organizations around him, to the next tier of organizations beneath that, to these happy-sounding organizations advising public schools about really swell curricula to use to teach children about the truth about America, and that it's a Western imperialist power, and that's a really bad place. Fomenting racial tension, deliberately fomenting racial distrust and tension and anger and hatred. George Soros is about the destruction of America. The organizations, regardless of the happy-sounding language they use describing themselves or naming themselves, are all about destruction of the fabric of the goodness of America. That is what George Soros is all about. This particular woman, I'm not finding her name fast enough, I don't want to keep you on hold here, but this woman who backs him and helped fund him in significant part was part of a group that says their mission is to bring better what was the expression? Increase justice, bring about justice, help help America improve our justice system. What they essentially mean is they want to agitate the American people to distrust our legal system, distrust our laws, distrust our government, and cause agitation and demands so he gets around to where he can run as DA, saying he stands for decarceration, letting people out. Now, I will say there may be individual areas of law, individual states that have law, individual police departments that have some problems. I'm all in favor of actually improving our justice system, which may mean in part sometimes correcting police departments if some attitude has become prevalent, a racist attitude or some other bad attitude has become prevalent. I'm not saying our system is perfect. We may need to make corrections. We may decide, for example, that we are going to reduce penalties for some crimes that we have in our books, for whatever reasons we think the penalties are too long. Legislatures around this country regularly look at these issues. They think, well, what does the data show? Are we too harsh on this? Should we deregulate this? Should we reduce the range of sentences for this? There's place for dialogue. There's place for conversation about whether there have been injustices in our country. There are people, and it's a wonderful thing, regularly work to help free people who've been wrongly convicted. These are wonderful things. No one's claiming America's perfect. But the difference between working within the system to encourage a review of legislation to see if laws have been passed are too harsh, maybe we should consider legalization of various things. Having that kind of look at various pieces of law or police departments or whatever the individual issue is, that is one thing that goes to the whole notion of just continuing to make this a more perfect union. That's not what Soros is doing. By the way, a good friend just texted me. The associate of Soros is named Chloe. It's a woman, Chloe Cockburn. Chloe Cockburn. She is part of his, she's part of his criminal justice mission. But again, with Soros, it's never to make America better. It is to destroy the fabric and culture of this country. In particular, in the case of the San Francisco District Attorney. San Francisco, like California, is overrun with illegal aliens. They do not enforce the law. They don't cooperate with ICE, so they have more and more people who have no legal right to be in America drawn to California. And all those people, which is a topic we're going to get into tomorrow, I'll tell you in a moment, but all those people, of course, they just like a magnet flow to where they will be protected. So California, San Francisco in particular, filled with illegal aliens, no legal right to be here. California won't enforce the federal laws, won't turn them over to ICE, won't agree to treat them in any way differently in many legal ways than their own citizens. So illegal aliens with no right to be here have the right to free health care, education, all sorts of things that are draining the California budget, because working, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens pay taxes in, so the government uses it to enable the illegal alien population to grow and live comfortably inside their bubble where law is not applied. And I'll get a little tease for tomorrow's show. I'm going to share with you tomorrow. We have a great guest. I'm going to share one story with you tomorrow. We had an event in our home with Governor Scott Walker that relates to the redistricting battle. And I can't wait to tell you about that, about Governor Walker and his thoughts. But why that's relevant here is there are data that show that once a district, a congressional district, goes at least 20% with 20% of people there who are illegal immigrants or newly made into legal citizens, the percentage likelihood of the Democrat winning that district shoots, through the roof. Point is, what I've been saying for years and you've been hearing for years is the Democrat mission to abandon the border, to invite people in, to never enforce the border, to never enforce immigration laws, to refuse to back the building of a wall, to enable through sanctuary city policy to allow people to stay. It's not out of niceness. It's never been out of charity or kindness. It's 100% the raw, ugly political calculation that they will eventually turn these people into voters who will vote a permanent Democrat ruling class. And we will have tyranny in this country. And this is already playing out. So that's a tease for tomorrow. I'll tell you more about that. But back to this story and kind of closing out what I wanted to say about this. What George Soros has been doing to this country in genuinely, determinately, perpetually, intentionally working agitation, working people to distrust the illegal system, to distrust our laws, to hate the police, to hate law enforcement, to hate ICE, to think we shouldn't have a border, to characterize our criminal justice system as the most egregious, outrageous, unfair system ever. This is intentional agitation by Soros that turns people into angry, angry citizens who will vote in an anti-American, lawless socialist as a district attorney. What Soros is doing to America is what Goebbels did in Germany. He used propaganda to manipulate the people, to turn them into angry, angry people. And it is what Goebbels succeeded, brought about not just the night of broken glass, but the whole ability to have a Holocaust, is what Soros is doing to America. His entities, his organizations, and we spent several shows running through what they are. There's so many I can't list them and count them. But the point of them never is to get to a healing and healthy solution. The point is never to come together to understand the problem and try to heal it. The perpetual point of Soros and everything he does, it is never justice, it is never fairness, it is never honesty, it is to keep perpetual outrage as the norm in America. And when you look around in America, you can start to be worried that it's working. But this is why, among the many reasons I do this show, why I talk to you every day, why I inspire every time I give a speech, I inspire you. America needs patriots to be as active as we can be, speaking up for America, the most unique, extraordinary experiment in human liberty ever to bless this earth.